Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. Oh my goodness, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. Fresh year, fresh start. Started off well. Yesterday was a hiccup, but I think we're going to be good. So welcome, everybody. Oh my gosh. So welcome to our next installment of our awesome Domain Baron de Rothschild virtual series, happy hour tastings, or during the day happy hour tastings. Today we'll be sort of visiting the region of Bordeaux. As a reminder, I'm Dana Bruno, and I just wanted to, as always, first quickly thank everyone for joining us today. Again, it's a fresh year. We're still in the virtual tasting territory. We're really excited. We've got a lot of fun stuff to present to you today. So thank you again for being here with us. As a reminder also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to use the chat box or simply just ask. So with that, I'd like to introduce Susan Ann Cosgrove, Vice President of Marketing and PR for Taub Family Collections. Hello. We also have Cedric.
Hi, everyone.
We also have Cedric Villar, the Portfolio Director of Taub Family Selections as well on the call.
Hi, everyone.
And then, of course, the man of the hour, who will be sort of taking us through these fabulous wines that we have in front of us today. We have Olivier welcoming us today as well, the technical director of DBR, Lafitte. So let us kind of take a break, take a breath, and kind of transport ourselves and our taste buds to Bordeaux. We're so excited to hear what you have to present to us today. So I think we can kind of start off, Olivier, with just maybe a little bit of background about you, and we can kind of go from there.
Hi, everybody. Greetings from wish you a happy new year 2021, which we hope with a lot of more serenity for this new year. So welcome in Bordeaux area. A few words about me and a few words about DBR Group. So my name is Olivier Tregoat. I am in charge of different properties for DBR. I work for the company like technical director for almost 5 years. But before I was independent consultant in viticulture, vineyards, but also in œnology for almost 15 years. DBR was one of my main clients. And I worked for them before, like consultant, for almost 10 years. And I had the opportunity to work for the company 5 years ago when Eric Kohler, which was in charge on the property abroad Bordeaux, moved to Chateaux Lafitte. So today I'm in charge of different properties. Overseeing the property in Chile and Argentina. Chile, Bodegas Los Vascos, a very huge property in Colchagua. Caro, which is a GV with the Catena family in Mendoza in Argentina. I'm in charge also of the project, which is not project today, but the real estate in China, Longda in the Shandong region, in front of the Korea, but also property in south of France, Chateaux d'Aussière. And since a couple of months, since mid-July, I'm in charge now of the property Chateau l'Evangile in Pomerol appellation. We will present the second label today, but also Chateau Rieux-Sec, close to Yquem, and we will taste also the second label today, Chateau de Cos. So DBR properties, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned every property, but so we are present in different continents. So in South America, China, and Bordeaux, and we have also other projects, but with the confinement, he can stop. We stopped a little bit the acquisition of different estates, but we have also other projects of acquisition.
Very good. Dana, should we get into DBR and maybe some of the wines? Would you like to? It's up to you, Olivier. But if you wanted to give us a bit of background about.
To explain a bit Bordeaux, Dana, can you share the map of Bordeaux to explain the property we have in Bordeaux on where finally the wines we are testing are coming from?
Great.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
So this is a map of Bordeaux area. Bordeaux area, it's about 130,000 hectares, which is mean you have to multiply by 2.4 in acres. I don't. It's so very old appellation, on which is very interesting. It is the appellation. Two rivers are crossing the appellation. The Dordogne River, which is coming from the center of the France, on she's crossing the Libournais, close Libourne, and join the Garonne in front of, more or less in front of Margaux appellation, and join the Garonne River, which is coming from the Pyrenees, the mountains Pyrenees in the south, the frontier with the Spain. So we are speaking between these two rivers. We speak about Entre-deux-Mers region, very slopey region, and we produce Bordeaux wine on this appellation, especially Bordeaux whites. And this land is occupied by mainly limestone deposit, limestone bedrock, with also different clayous deposits. On the Libournais, so we are speaking about right bank. So on the Libournais, the main appellation well known are Saint-Émilion appellation and the Pomerol appellation. Pomerol appellation, it's about 800 hectares, and Saint-Émilion appellation is 5,500 hectares. Also, the typicity of soil types on that region is the limestone and calcareous bedrocks, but also clayous soils. We have few deposits of gravelly soils on the west part of Saint-Émilion and in Pomerol, but I will mention more in detail after when we speak about Chateaux l'Évangile. So Chateaux l'Évangile is located on the golden core of Pomerol appellation.
There, huh? Yeah.
On the left bank, you have a long close the Gironde, which is the joint between Garonne and Dordogne River. This very long appellation of left bank. You have Médoc appellation in the north and Haut-Médoc on the south, and on different other appellation, quite well known, especially since Margaux to Saint-Estèphe appellation with Saint-Julien also and Pauillac. Pauillac, it is for sure you know that, but Lafite Rothschild Chateaux is located on the golden core of the Pauillac appellation, close to the Saint-Estèphe border. And Duarmilon, the main chateau of Duarmilon, is the winery of Duarmilon, is located on the village of Pauillac, but the vineyard is the neighbor of the Lafite Rothschild vineyard. It means that the team, the viticulture team, worked even on the Duarmilon, but also Lafite vineyard.
Where's Pauillac?
A bit on the south, on the small appellation, but a few kilometers far from the river, Listrac Médoc appellation. We have got our cousin there, Benjamin de Rothschild, the son of Edmond Rothschild, and you have Chateau Clark and Chateau Odilon. I mention Odilon because we have the distribution of the Chateau Odilon, and we will speak a bit on the Chateau Odilon. If we move to the south of the Bordeaux region, we arrived on the Sauternay, the southwest part of the vineyard of Bordeaux, and we have on that area the area of the sweet wines. We produce sweet wines. On the left bank, Sérence en Sauterne appellation, the most well-known appellation. But you have also on the right bank of the Garonne, few appellation, when you can also have very good wines, sweet wines, I mean, Cadillac, Sérence, Loupiac, or Côte de Bordeaux Saint-Macaire on that area. It's very interesting because I will start by Rieux-Sec. It is very interesting because the soil types on that region between Loupiac or Cadillac, if you compare with Sérence or Sauterne, the soil types are completely different because almost 1 million years ago, because of the gravel deposits from the Garonne, the bedrock, you have a big, I don't know how I can explain it, but Cédric, would you help me? Il y a eu beaucoup de dépôts et il y a eu un effondrement des sols sur la partie de Sauterne et les sols se sont retrouvés plus bas, et notamment les sols. Et en fait, on retrouve les sols comment dirais-je, de Barsac à 40 mètres plus bas que les sols de Loupiac ou de Cadillac.
Okay. So some of the soils many years ago basically fell, so there was like a big drop of the soil by about 40 meters. So for example, which of the appellations compared to Loupiac and Cadillac, you said like Barsac, right? Like Barsac. About 40 meters down versus a couple of the other appellations. I think what's fascinating, Olivier, as you can see, is an expert at the soils and the terroirs, and I think you've done a lot of work, like when you actually helped build like even Los Vascos in the past and like huge projects. And so it's really fascinating even for me to hear you talk about like the different soils in Bordeaux. But it's a great opportunity to kind of discover the Bordeaux region and the different appellations through that tastings, because there's 5 chateaux, right? Like all in different appellations of Bordeaux.
Exactly. So we can start. If you have any question on the Bordeaux area, maybe we can start to discover Chateaux Rieux-Sec through is a dry wine, if you want.
Okay, sounds good.
So the Chateaux Rieux-Sec was bought by the Rothschild family in 1984. On the package, we also bought the Paradis Cassoy, and we will present the wine after on the right bank, as you can see on the map. Donc Chateaux Rieux-Sec produce it is a first Grand Cru classified in the 1855. His famous neighbor is Chateau Yquem. So Chateau Rieux-Sec has got a very good reputation on sweet wine. But since a few decades, we produce also dry wines with the bottom part of the joint session dissolved.
Keep going, Olivier.
We produce also a dry wines with the plots located on the bottom part of the area of Chateau Rieux-Sec. The Chateau Rieux-Sec is about 227 acres of vineyards located on different soil types. On the highest part, you have the gravelly soils. On the slopes, you can meet the limestones and the colluvium deposit on the bottom part, which are less useful or it's less easy to produce dry berries botrytized on that area. That's why we use the bottom plots to produce white wine, Chateaux Sec. So Sec, it's, I would say, a quite classical way of winemaking dry wine. So we pick the grapes generally end of August, mid-September normally, but since a decade, because of the global warming, we picked the grapes. For example, that year, we in 2020 we picked the grapes. It was on the 17 or 18 August this year. So we really feel and we really live the global warming in our vineyards. So it's a combination between Sauvignon Blanc and the Semillon grape varieties. We use the same grape varieties, Sauvignon on the Semillon for the Sauterne. So here we picked at the beginning of the September or in August, it depends. We press directing the wine. We clarify the wine and the must, and we a part of the must we wine make in oaked barrels, and a part in vat. And there at the end of the fermentation, the global fermentation, the alcoholic fermentation, we try to keep the new wine on the lees with few stirring for 4 or 5 months, and then generally we bottle the wine mid-April or in May. So it's a dry wine. What we are searching on this wine, it did the elegancy of the Sauvignon and his signature with what we are calling the Thiol family aromas. Which brings the exotic aromas on the tropical fruit are coming from the Sauvignon. On the Semillon, bring the body of the vines. So generally, the combination suits very well on the Erdorieux Sec. The proportion of oak, it depends on the year, on the quality of the berries we picked on the field. But it is between 20, 30, or not more. We just want few aromas, few drops of toasted aromas, but to underline the purity of the wine, not to be too much present. And this is not really the style. It is a generality in all our wines in DBR style wine. Finally.
And the oak, you use some of the barrels coming from the cooperage of DBR in Pauillac?
Yes, Cedric, you're right. We have the chance to get our own cooperage close to Lafite, and we produced. This is one of the latest property. Lafite is the latest property. Who has got his own cooperage, and we produce between 2,200 to 2,500 barrels a year.
And you mentioned that DBR style, they don't like when there's too much oak in the wine, right? But like the toasting of the barrels like varies depending on the estate or like the wine in Bordeaux?
Yes, generally we have 3 or 4 different toasts. We have a toast for Erdorieux Sec, dedicated to Erdorieux Sec, but mainly dedicated to the sweet wine, not to the dry wine.
Okay.
Because Erdorieux Sec is focusing on the sweet wine, and after we have a toast for Duarmilon and a toast for Lafite Rothschild.
Okay. I think it's a beautiful wine. I think it shows that, I mean, not only you know, like in the Domaine Baron Rothschild Lafite portfolio, it's a lot of reds usually, you know, like because we have a lot of like reds in the properties, and it's really nice to have like that very elegant white wine from Bordeaux, and shows as well that in the Bordeaux region, because that's mostly well known for the reds, but like you actually have like amazing, beautiful like whites. And it's not too opulent. I think it's very drinkable. You have a little bit of oak, but not too much. Can you, so it's a wine that you would want to drink when it's young, Olivier, no? Like it's not too age, right?
Yes, but you can you can wait 3 or 4 years, huh? And we are really working on that point with the team to increase the potential of aging in the future on that wine for sure.
Okay. And can you tell us about some of the food pairings for the Ardeur Sec? How do you
we like it's a very good wine, but it's also it's also not a good opportunity to taste the famous oysters from the Bassin d'Arcachon for sure.
Yep.
But generally we use for the food pairing, we like to taste the wine with Asiatic cooking or simply fresh fishes for sure.
Nice.
Okay. I don't know if you have got any technical question or other question, please.
I don't see any questions. I think I've been seeing a lot of like good comments, you know, very well balanced between the softness and the brightness. Got a couple of big fans here, nice and soft with a bright finish. So those are like some of the comments from the participant. But guys, please feel free as always to ask any questions to Olivier in the chat box, and then we'll ask Olivier. 18 was indeed a very good vintage in Bordeaux, Olivier, right?
It's a very good vintage. For the white wines, it's a bit more tricky. Personally, I prefer the 2017, which is better even for the dry rather than for the sweet wine too. But 2018 is a good vintage. But my favorite one, the last I would say 5 years or a bit more, it is the 17 for sure.
I remember
Saskia. But for the reds, 2018 is really better for the reds rather than 2017.
Okay.
I would say that for the white wines, 2018 is a bit warm. So we have less aromatic intensity in comparison when 2017. But this warm condition, especially during the ripening period, suits very well. Finally, are very good for the red grapes.
Got it.
The condition you want for the whites are a bit different that you are looking for in comparison with the condition you are looking for the reds.
Okay. Someone is asking about the price for the Ardeur Sec. It's about $44, and available. We can. Aaron, we can give you a list of retailers that carry the Ardeur Sec, depending on where you're located. But like wine.com carries that wine, for example, and Vin Porter are a couple of the outlets that can ship nationwide that carry this wine. Should we go to the Paradis Cassel, Olivier?
Yes, for sure. So Paradis Cassel, as I mentioned before, was in the package in '84 when the Baron Eric de Rothschild decided to buy Chateaux Sec. So it is about half an hour by car from Rieux Sec on the right bank. The terroir is completely different because the main terroir are located on the limestone soils on slopes surrounding the Garonne River. It's a marvelous place. That's why we call the wine paradise even. And on the Casseuil, it means in the old French language oak. So this is the paradise for the forest, for the oak forest. This is the explanation of the name of Chateau Paradis Casseuil. Chateau Paradis Casseuil, step by step, the quality of the wine is increasing. For now a couple of years, we have started a complete renovation of the vineyards. Last year, it was the first year in complete organic way management with our very good viticulturist Jean de Roquefeuille. Today, we are winemaking this wine in the winery, in the big winery. So we provide advices and we manage by ourselves the winemaking process, but it is not on our own winery. We have a big project from that properties. Today, the vineyards spreads over 55 hectares, which mean almost 1.3, 1.2, 120, 130, acres, planted by Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. We have a majority of Merlot because it's we have the limestone soils in Bordeaux are working well or better with Merlot rather than Cabernet Sauvignon. But we have also few areas where we have gravelly deposits, and we have decided to plant Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc on these areas. So it's a drinkable wine. Step by step, it's the body and the structure is increasing year after year. We do not want, as the Chateaux Air de Rieux-Sec, too much oak, so generally we used a second old-aged oak barrels, just to give the wines a few touch of toasted aromas, but also the barrels, as you know, help us also, with a good clarification.
Okay, it's got, so because of the Merlot, it's got a very nice fruit as well, right? It's a very drinkable, I think, Petite Chateaux wine, right?
Exactly. You're perfectly right.
So there's not Cabernet Franc in that specific vintage, Olivier, right? Like, so you haven't really started to use the Cabernet Franc in Paradis Casseuil yet, or will it be in the future?
Today, very few, and in the future, yes, we want to plant more Cabernet Franc on that property.
Okay. So we're very excited to have that wine here in the US because it's quite new for us. I think we started to bring it in the US about like 1 year ago, I think, 1 or 2 years ago. So
2020 is probably, it will be probably one of the best Paradis Casseuil we ever produced. 2020 in Bordeaux, after a rainy period, few words on the 2020. But 2020 Bordeaux was at the beginning a bit tricky because we received, first of all, we had a very warm winter last year, almost up 3 degrees, average degrees more than usual, the average. we have very early bud break, and after we received a lot of rain until end of May, beginning of June. It was really tricky to fight the Peronospora, the mildew, the Donny mildew, especially in our case DBR, because now the majority of the property are in the organic management in the vineyards. But by chance, July was dry. August was really dry and hot with 3 heat waves. That's why before I mentioned that for Air de Rieux Sec, we picked the grapes early mid-August. And for Paradis Casseuil, it's very good because the limestone soil types, on the clayous soil types, the water availability on this kind of soils are better in comparison with the gravelly soils, because for sure stones or few stones cannot keep the water. So I would say that the global warming benefit really for Paradis Casseuil, and we are very optimistic for the future for Paradis Casseuil, and 2020 is a very good witness.
Very, very good. The fact that you've planted some Cabernet Franc, it's not a result of the climate change, right? It's more because of the soil that you were talking about, Olivier.
Yes, but also the climate also. The Cabernet Sauvignon is the grape variety with the better resistance of the dryness. And I would say that Cabernet Franc, it is between the Cabernet Sauvignon and the Merlot about his needs about the water.
Okay. Very good. So Cindy really likes the aromas in the Paradis, intense, so enticing. Should we get to I know we have 6 wines to taste, so should we go to Chateaux Odilon, Olivier?
Alors, Chateaux Odilon, I don't know very well the property, honestly. As I said before, because the Chateaux Odilon, it belongs to the cousin Edmond Rothschild, the son of Benjamin de Rothschild. So it's located on the Haut-Médoc, especially in the Listrac Médoc appellation. The Listrac Médoc appellation is a bit far away from the Gironde River. It means that all the gravelly deposits that we have very close to the Gironde don't go or didn't go so far like the Listrac appellation. It means that the Listrac appellation, if you compare the Listrac appellation with the other appellation in the Médoc, like Pauillac, Saint-Estèphe or Château Margaux, finally you have less gravelly deposit on that appellation, but more limestone, more ancient soil types or bedrocks, like limestone or clayous soils. That's why also this is an appellation where you have more Merlot than Cabernet Sauvignon, because the other appellation like Pauillac, Saint-Estèphe, Margaux, etc., the main, this is the golden core of Cabernet Sauvignon area, finally. So that's why also in Chateaux Odilon, you have a majority, especially on 2016, which is a very good vintage. You have a majority of Merlot on that wine.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Chateaux Odilon, why the story of the name of Chateaux Odilon? Chateaux Odilon, before, the name of the property was Château Perlebade, close to Château Clark, the famous chateau of Benjamin Rothschild. And Chateaux Odilon, why? Because Odilon Redon was a famous painter in the middle of the 90s. on the Odilon-Redon, grew up on Chateaux Perle-Bad. The family decided to rename the Chateaux Perle-Bad by Chateau Odilon-Redon, the name of his famous French painter. That's the story. And you have different museums in the United States when you can also admire and see the famous paintings of Odilon-Redon.
Yeah, those are beautiful paintings. So it's interesting, Olivier, because Chateau Odilon and Chateau Paradis Cassailles, I think it's about the same blend, right? I think it's 60% Merlot and 40% Cabernet, but the style of the wines are different, right? Is it because of the terroir? Is it because of the vintage? Is it because of the winemaking that they're using?
Probably here, most because of the vintage, because 2016 is warmer in comparison with 2017. So that's why also you can feel Chateau Odilon 2016 is more chewy, it's more creamy in comparison with 2017 Chateau Paradis Cassailles. And the pH of the wine is a bit higher in Chateau Odilon also. That's why maybe you have a less sensation of acidity, or the balance, it's a bit different between Chateau Odilon and Paradis Cassailles. But for me, the level of concentration of the wine itself, it's not so different. I agree.
Okay.
We haven't done this one.
Very good. So should we taste the Moulin de Duard and the Blason de l'Évangile? So it's interesting because we're going to have left bank and then right bank, right?
Moulin de Duard, this is the second label of Chateau Duard-Milon. Sorry. Chateau Duard-Milon, it is a fourth Grand Cru classé of Pauillac. So this is a neighbor, the vineyard, as I mentioned before, is the neighbor of Lafite Rothschild, and the viticulture team worked both in Lafite and Duard-Milon. But the cellar of Duard-Milon is located in the core of Pauillac village. We just achieved a fantastic renovation of the estate. It is very close to the river, and very good place to winemake the wine. So Moulin de Duard. So this is the second label of Duard-Milon. Duard-Milon, Duard, it was the name of a gun runner of Louis XV. The name of Duard is coming from that story. On Milon, it is a small area in the middle of the vineyard this is the how I can this is the name of a hamlet between the vineyards of Duard-Milon and the vineyards of Lafite Rothschild. That's why this is the story of the name of the property. And the family Rothschild bought the properties in Eric de Rothschild bought the property in 1962. Almost 1 century after Lafite.
It was the first chateau that they purchased after Chateau Lafite, right?
Yes. Exactly. So the soil types of Moulin de Duard. The vineyard of Moulin de du Armillon is located on a bit southwest of Lafite Rothschild. The main soil types are also gravelly soil, which are coming from the Gironde River deposit almost 1 million years ago. But at the middle of the slopes, on the bottom of the slopes, you have also different sediments, like sand sediments, which are coming from also the wind. And in different places, you have also different spots of clayous deposits. But the main difference between Lafite vineyard, it is that the terraces of the alluvial deposits is a little bit different, and a little bit the terraces of Duard is a few meters down or few meters less in comparison with Lafite, and that means also that the clay content on these gravelly deposits are different and a bit less in comparison with Lafite terraces. And that means that in the very hot vintages, the resistance of the vineyards of du Armillon, on Moulin du Armillon. Finally, I would say that du Armillon is less resistant to dryness in comparison with Lafite. In the global warming, we are very lucky, and that's true also, because on Monday I was on the last Tuesday I was in Lafite for the first work of the blends 2020. And as I mentioned before, 2020 is very hot and dry vintage in Bordeaux. But the Cabernet Sauvignon of Lafite, thanks to its clay content on these gravelly soils, can resist to these dry conditions. It is less the case of du Armillon, which is a bit more sensitive to these conditions. This is, for me, this is the main different soil types. If we want to go in details, and if we want to go on to compare, the different soil types between du Armillon and Lafite Rothschild. On Moulin de Duard, because it is the second label, there is a majority of Merlot on the blends. It is also because we keep the best plots for the first wine, for sure, and it means generally on this area of Pauillac that we select the highest position of the plots, and we use the bottom parts for the second wines. On that position, the viticulturists prefer to plant Merlot than Cabernet Sauvignon, because the water content is higher in comparison with the highest terraces. I don't know if I'm very clear. Maybe you can add some words in English, in perfect English.
It's fascinating.
Je sais pas si j'ai été très clair.
It's very clear. It's very clear. I mean, at least I can kind of like picture it, you know. That's the first time actually I hear about it presented like this, to explain the different soils, you know, between Lafite and Duard. Because sometimes we hear as well that Lafite is more like south-southeast, you know, closer to the river, and then Duard may be more closer to the forest. And the roots go much deeper as well for Lafite versus Duard, no? Like in the soils, I've heard that as well. But it's fascinating, the fact that it's the same technical team that makes those both chateaux, and they taste so differently. I mean, they're both beautiful in like their own way, but like a very different. It's all because of the terroir and the soils that you explained.
They're not talking about the most important.
So the Moulin de Duard can age, Olivier, but like typically it doesn't need to age as much as the Grand Vin, right?
Dans Moulin de Douar, and we also want to produce an easy wine too. So it's also what we want to do also. But 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, yes. But no a few decades like life it for sure.
Okay.
But
And
a
obviously, yes.
Moulin de Douar after 7-8 years, it for me it's perfect to drink with a good Côte de Bœuf.
Yes. So it's still a little young to enjoy, right? The 17 right now, because it's like 3-4 years.
Switched, right?
Yeah, we're on the third one.
And the 15.
No. We're on the third one. Oh, the
Very
fourth.
nice. And should we taste Blason de l'Évangile? So very
So
different
Blason,
because
Blason de l'Évangile 2015. So l'Évangile is located on the golden core of Pomerol appellation.
2000.
I know very well this appellation because
This one.
the golden core of it's a small appellation, almost 800 hectares, which is almost 2,000 acres.
Fifth one?
Yeah.
Our famous neighbors are Petrus in the northwest. On the east, on southeast, it is Cheval Blanc. Cheval Blanc is located on the border between Pomerol and the Saint-Émilion. That's why the Cheval Blanc style is more of Pomerol, in comparison with the other famous estate in Saint-Émilion, like Clos Fourté, Château Canon, Ozone, Château Bel-Air Mondange, Bel-Air. This property are located on the limestone soils in the golden core of Saint-Émilion, which is not the case of Cheval Blanc. That's why for us, Cheval Blanc is more Pomerol rather than Saint-Émilion. So the property of l'Évangile was bought by Eric de Rothschild in 1990. The precedent owner was family Ducasse, Madame Ducasse. The property spreads over 22 hectares, which is about 50 acres. On the north part, close to our neighbor Petrus, the soil types are a very blue clay, the famous one that we can read everywhere in the world about Petrus. I know very well that because before I was consultant for Petrus, and I did. Cedric mentioned that I'm a specialist about soil types. I'm a fan of terroir effect in the world, but I had a PhD financed by the first 8 Grand Cru in Bordeaux, like Lafitte, Mouton, Petrus, Margaux, Ozone, Cheval Blanc. So I did in the PhD and end of the 90s, and I studied all these estates, the soil and subsoils. So I know very well Petrus, and I had also the chance to make some pits and to soil studies in l'Évangile, and we have a part on the north of the property with the same deposit like in Petrus, and these are the best plots for us in les Châteaux l'Évangile. The other soil types of l'Évangile, close to the border, close to Cheval Blanc, are very ancient, are the oldest terraces that we can meet in the right bank in Bordeaux appellation. That's why we have also very good clay soil, a good combination because very good clay soil, but also very good gravelly soils. On the gravelly soils in l'Évangile, these soils are very good to plant some Cabernet Franc. That's why when Eric de Rothschild bought the property in Chateaux in l'Évangile in 19, a decade after, we decided a complete renovation of the vineyard of the estate. And we decided to plant more Cabernet Franc on the gravelly soils, and Merlot on the clayous one. So today, since a couple of years, we have the results of this complete renovation. So we have the fruits of these efforts. And we are very confident also for the future now. So if I come back to Blason de l'Évangile, so Blason de l'Évangile 2015. So first of all, 2015, as you know, is a very good vintage for the red in Bordeaux, especially on the right bank. I like the 2015 on the right bank. I prefer the 2016, sorry, in the left bank. It was about the same, like 2005 and 2006, but it was also the same in the 90s, 1995 and 1996. The 5 is good. I prefer the 5 in the right bank and the 6 on the left bank. So 2015 is a good vintage because of the water content or the water take during the vintage suits very well for the Merlot, and we have a perfect maturity, perfect ripeness of the Merlot in this vintage. In Chateaux, in the Blason, on this blend, 2015, we have almost 60% of Merlot and 40% of Cabernet Franc. Why this amount of Cabernet Franc? It is a bit unusual, but it is because at this vintage, we have very young vines of Cabernet Franc, and these young vines cannot join the first wine, Chateaux l'Évangile. So we use it for the second label. But I like also because it can bring some fresh notes on this quite heavy wine. Even it is a second labor, you can feel a richness, a good structure. It's really a full-bodied wine. And I really appreciate it, and you can feel this freshness due to the Cabernet Franc. I don't know if you want to add some comments. You know the property.
It looks like some people received the 2014 vintage, actually.
Yes.
So, which I know is quite different than the 15 vintage. Do you know top of head the 14 vintage, Olivier? I think it has more Merlot. I think it's 93% Merlot and 7% Cabernet Franc, actually.
There is really less Cabernet Franc on the 14. Huh?
Yeah. I think it's barely an amazing wine. I mean, first of all, I think Olivier Chateaux l'Évangile was one of the most traded wines on the Place de Bordeaux for the 19 campaign, right?
Yes.
But the amount of work and where the quality got, for that estate, And when we taste all of those wines, it's amazing to see, actually, because I think it's the most expensive of the range, but like people love that wine, you know, and also because it's very velvety, you have, you know, that very nice fruit, and those Merlot that they could never produce on the left bank. Like I think as well for the American palate, you know, that's a perfect match, but like it's a much like kind of like bigger wine, kind of like, even if it's Merlot, but it's very elegant at the same time, I find.
I would add that the Chateaux l'Évangile will get its first certification of organic in 2021 after few years in organic transition. Chateaux l'Évangile is for many years in organic way, but we decided to ask the certification, and it will be the case in 2021. So we will add the logo on the back label in 21. Yeah.
Very good. We're seeing a lot of like amazing comments, Olivier, on the blason de l'Évangile 14. A lot of, and some fans as well of Pomerolles.
For me, it is probably one of the I would say my favorite second label in all the range of the DBR properties. For sure.
Should we taste the Chateau de Cos, Olivier? I'd love to hear about Saskia de Rothschild as well, Olivier, because I'm sure you work very closely with her, right?
Yes.
I'm sure she's very involved at Chateaux l'Évangile and Bordeaux in general, right?
In Chateaux l'Évangile, in particularly, she's in l'Évangile every week, for sure. We have a young team now, because the chairwoman Saskia, a bit more than 30 years, and also the new viticulturist, the new manager of Chateaux l'Évangile is Juliette Couder. And Juliette, she's coming from the China. She was our young technical director in China, and she joined us just at the beginning of the vintage in September in Chateaux l'Évangile to run the property. And she's a fan also of biodynamic, like Saskia, and for sure that these two girls will bring Chateaux l'Évangile in the summit of l'Évangile. And we have a very strong roadmap and very good and very important challenge. And I'm very confident for the future for Chateaux l'Évangile.
Okay.
So Chateau de Cos. So to finish the tasting with the sweet wine. So Chateau de Cos is the second wine of Chateau Rieux-Sec in Sauternes. 2017, as I said before, it is a very, very good vintage in the Sauternes. Probably one of the best vintage since 15 years. I really like this wine. So the good conditions of this vintage benefit for the first wine, but even for the second wine for sure. It was necessary to wait the arrival of the botrytis in 2017. 2017 was an earlier, but during the ripening period, it was a bit warm, and it was necessary also to wait the few drops of rain to get the mist, the moisture finally, and the ideal conditions for the botrytis to contaminate the berries and to develop inside the berries and to produce the noble rot, what we call the noble rot. And these conditions appears mid-October, something like that. And after, it was quite easy to pick the grapes. You know that generally we use different selection picking phases. It was necessary to pick the grapes and to cross the different plots 3, 4, 5, 6 times, sometimes even more. It's a very haute couture picking. It was not so hard in 2017, and we have very good richness of the berries on that vintage. As I mentioned before, so we used some oak barrels produced in our own cooperage close to the Tonnellerie des Domaines, and we use that barrels because we press the wine directly the berries when the berries arrived on the cellar. We also clarify a bit the must, and we put the must on the barrels, and we try to manage to run the fermentation, the alcoholic fermentation in the barrels, specifically toasted as we want. So generally, we prefer use the new old barrels for Semillon, which is more heavy or more body in comparison to the Sauvignon, and we use the second used barrel for the Sauvignon. Sweet wine are very adapted to have a very long aging. It was the case in the past, and it was quite common on the Sauterne appellation in the past to have 24 months of aging. But because Sauterne, and for me it's a pity because I'm I would say a drinker of Sauterne. Sauterne it's not really a fashion today, and it's very difficult, honestly, to sell Sauterne. That's why also we try for a couple of years to modify a bit the style of Sauterne wines. And try to get more aromatic intensity, more nervosity, acidity, freshness, rather than the pure roasted or toasted aromas on the I would say the chewy, too much creamy liquor. Finally, not too much liquor. And before, when I say before, 10 years ago, 15 years ago or more, the sugar content of a Sauterne reached about 150 grams per liter of sugar, sometimes more. Today, we try to diminish a bit this sugar content to reach more 120, 130. And at the same time, try to use a bit more Sauvignon and try to manage the alcoholic fermentation in a different way to keep more freshness, fruitness, a bit more tropical fruit to help and to change a bit the styles. It's a fine, it's a detailed correction, but to also try to have more accessible wine during his childhood, I would say.
So the Chateaux de Cos, Olivier, you want to enjoy it when it's young, right? But
yes, it's more accessible in comparison with Chateaux Sec for sure.
Which could age for long.
But you can also age the bottle for a decade, no problem. Huh? Okay. I like after 5, 6, 7 years. It is for me one of probably the best moment to drink it. Personally, I drink the wine like an aperitif at home. You can keep the wine in the freezer and the refrigerator for a week with this kind of wine, like the second label or the first label. Huh? So you can with your friends, with your husband or your wife, you can share during a week a bottle, and it is like I did it and it's working very well.
Do you have other pairing suggestions? Because we hear obviously always about foie gras and dessert, right? But there's many other possibilities to enjoy it.
I don't like too much. Why? Because Sauterne or Chateaux de Cos, the second label, are sweet wine. It's quite heavy. That's why I try to search not too heavy meal like Sauterne or like dessert, because it is too heavy plus too heavy. So I would prefer to drink this wine with fresh foods. Asiatic food is working well, especially with the second label Chateaux de Cos, to balance this sweetness on the body of this wine.
But it's really fascinating, because it's like showing ways to enjoy, you know, like to people, and not like in the traditional way that we usually like enjoy Sauterne. It gets that would help, you know, like for Sauterne to reinvent itself in a way, you know. But it's a beautiful wine, and also it's so expensive to produce, you know. So it's a shame that people.
It's not really profitable, honestly. No, because we have, as you mentioned, Cédric, that's true. It's the yield of the production of Sauterne is very, very low, because the botrytis finally eat a large part of the volume, and also it is the cost of production are quite high too. So at the end, the profitability of the Sauterne estate, it's hard.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of we are. It's been like an hour and 10 minutes, Olivier. So, but I know we had a lot of wines to go through. Like people really enjoyed it from the comments. It's very informative, terrific conversation. A lot of people are thanking you. There's one question I had missed, Olivier, from Levi, who was asking about the cross on the label of Blason de l'Évangile. Could you tell us about that, if you don't mind?
Je ne sais pas d'où vient la croix. Je connais l'histoire du nom de l'Évangile, mais si tu connais la réponse, vas-y, parce que je te la donnerai, mais je ne suis pas capable de te dire.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure, but there's a lot of like estates in Pomerol that make the reference to the church, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's got something to do with that. But maybe we can, Levi, maybe we can be more specific and get back to you on that one as well.
Yes, for sure. I will do it.
Definitely. Levi, we'll get back to you. Everyone, thank you so much again for joining us today. I know we went a little bit over, but we had a lot to talk about, a lot of wines to taste. And of course, any questions, anything you guys need, just let me know. And again, I'll send you the information about the 2014 vintage as well. We'll figure that out. But thank you guys. I hope this was informative, enjoyable. It seems like it was. Seemed like everyone learned a little something new. So thank you, and we can't wait to see all of you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Good to see
you
everyone.
all. Have a great day.
Thank you.